Alright, we are back with the part 3 of the teardown. Not so much focusing on the block, we're focusing on the head and the disassembly of it. So I took the head off in one swell piece just so that I can take everything off on a bench or on this and get it going. So as far as the head for the Neo, we have the cams, we have the cams, we have the caps, these I guess they're like splash guards or something like that. You have the shims that's in there, the buckets and the shims and stuff. You got the gears in the front, and then of course the coil packs and all that, and that's pretty much it. So that's the main stuff you would have to worry about. I have to remove the excess bolt right here that I'm currently removing because I forgot to put that in there, but I have to remove this mount, the sensor over there, the exhaust manifold gasket is still on there, and the coil packs, but we'll go over all these. First thing that I did notice when I was pulling out the ARP studs and caps for the studs, I realized that it was pulling out some of these shims for that area, and these are actually let's see if we get some flash. Down there you see where that circle is. These shims fit snug in that circle. I think they're pretty standard across every single one, so like that one is kind of hard to catch because it's glary, but that one still has it in there. I believe I took the one out for this one, but yeah, so those are all in there, and it looks like they're pretty universal, but they really are they just come out. Just take like a magnet in there, and then boom, you got it. So I'm not going to worry too much about the order for these because it seems like every one of them is the same and they're inside every one, so that is going to be one that I do not keep the order for. But when you take out these buckets and shims and stuff like that, you definitely want to have those in order. When you take off these caps, you definitely want to have those in order. So that stuff, don't just toss anywhere because you will mess it up when you put it back together. So we're going to start with taking these out and then taking the coil packs. The next thing I'll do is start at the front, taking these gears off, and we'll go from there. So in that time lapse, you would have seen me take off the coil packs, all those little shims in there. I did take off the exhaust manifold gasket, that wasn't recorded, and I did take off the bracket thing that holds this in. It's a little tough to get that out. It's kind of let's see if I can. You see right in there, there's this little dowel pin thing right here. There's that on both of those bottom bolts, so it doesn't really want to come out. Those things kind of keep it. You just gotta wiggle a little bit. As for the cam gears, with these, you don't want to immediately try to pop them off because these are still connected to the cam and they can rotate, and then you're not at top dead center and everything's pretty much fucked. So what you want to do is you want to grab onto these. So if you feel right here or any other spot in the cam, this is completely circular. Right here on both the intake and the exhaust, there are flat spots, and those flat spots are for you to put a wrench on it so you can hold it in place and keep it from turning, because you don't want this to turn when you're getting these gears off. So let's go ahead and just pull. Actually, where's my I wonder if it's probably just gonna have to be a regular adjustable. This may be too big. I do have a smaller one, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, where if you just close that down on there, get it nice and flat, and then now you can hold this and pop these off. Same thing for this one. These are 11mm bolts. I'm not sure what that is yet. It is like an Allen key type of thing, but these are definitely 11. So I'm gonna pop this one off, pop that one off, same method. Just remember to go clamp it onto the flat spots. You can see where mine is clamped, but it's like right here. It's between the lobe and the actual divot for the head studs. So right there on both sides, and then you're good. Now that we got that and the front plate off, the next thing is the cams themselves. Now, you put it in top dead center, great. Since it is at top dead center, there are a couple valves that's going to have pressure on them. You want to relieve that pressure. Don't put any pressure on the cam. You don't want to bend the cam or, you know, possibly snap it or anything like that. I mean, if you're putting in replacement cams, then go at it for the time being because you're replacing the cam. But if you are not replacing the cam, you want to alleviate that pressure first. So you don't want to just pop them off in a row or pop these off in a row. You want to slowly alleviate that pressure. These splash guards, you can just go ahead and pop off first. These don't really connect to the valves or anything like that. They're just splash guards. But when it comes to these, I'm assuming these are probably maybe a 12. No, they're all 10s. Okay. And so with the 10s, or with the cam, I can't think of the name of these things, I said it earlier, but with these, you basically want to start from the middle, go about a quarter turn every time. So start from the middle, and then kind of, I do the spiral method, but since I'm going to take these one at a time, it's going to be bang, 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 you know, middle, work your way out. But you want to go quarter turn all the way in that order, alleviate the pressure until there is no pressure on the studs, and then you can go ahead and pop those off. I would recommend doing it one cam at a time. Unlike the head studs, I do spiral pattern across both sides because that's all clamped down on the head as a whole, but this one is just the cams individually, so you can just go bam, 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 you know, that type of thing. So I'm gonna take these off, and then I'm gonna slowly start this process on this side, and then slowly do the process on that side. Once this cam is out, I'll be able to take that bolt or that head stud out, because since it's still attached to the cap for it, it's too big to come out with the cam in there. But I gotta remove the cams anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and knock this out time-lapse style. So now you would have saw me take out the cam, not the lobes, the things for the cam to hold it in, the cam itself, and the buckets for the Neo. The Neos have the solid buckets, so there's that. Didn't have any shims that I know of with those. As soon as the buckets came out, that was pretty much it. There's nothing else in there that I could take out, so these are pretty much just the valves and the springs themselves, which is what the shop told me, the machine shop told me that I can leave in. So since everything else is gone, this side, the exhaust side, is good to go. Can't stress enough, make sure you keep the order for all this stuff. But the good thing is these have the numbers on them for the exhaust side, and then all the buckets and stuff are here. So good to go. Go ahead and do it on the other side. Alright guys, so that's pretty much the end of it. I mean, I still have the spark plugs in. I'm going to take those out. I left them in so I can remember which one I wanted to ask them about, because as you notice, all of these spark plugs are fully seated except for cylinder 3. And I think the threads for cylinder 3 are done for. So I'm going to see if they can possibly renew the threads on cylinder 3, so that spark plug could get fully seated, because that one has always been a problem for me to get torqued in, and that's the only reason why I left the spark plugs in, so I could see which cylinder it was. But cylinder 3. Outside of that, everything pretty much has been removed from the head. So there's that. We just have the valves and the valve stems and stuff in there. The only way to get these out is to compress it and pull it out, and that's what they told me to leave in, so we're not going to bother with that. We got the half moons out, all this stuff, the gears, the cam. My intake cam took a little persuading to get to come out from this area. It's a little stuck, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next thing that I'm going to do with this is pop out these spark plugs and take this over to the machine shop. So let's go.